It started with a sound that didn't belong on that quiet suburban street. The deep rumble of Harley engines cutting through the afternoon air like thunder rolling across a calm sky. 4 bikers rode in, their black vests marked with the fiery insignia of the Hells Angels, their shadows stretching long across the sunlit pavement. Curtains twitched. Mothers pulled their children inside. Even the wind seemed to pause. But amid that roar of metal and power came another sound, soft and trembling. "Sir, will you buy my bike?" The men slowed, their engines idling. Standing on the edge of the sidewalk was a little girl, no more than 6. Her hair was messy, her pink dress a little too clean for how worn her shoes were. Beside her stood a small pink bicycle with a white basket and a cardboard sign that read,
Asterisk. Asterisk for sale.
Asterisk, asterisk, the smallest biker wore, maybe the kindest, turned off his engine and climbed down. The others followed, their heavy boots thudding on the warm pavement. He knelt in front of the child. Behind her, under a large oak tree, an older woman sat slumped against the trunk, wrapped in a blanket, pale and weak. The biker's throat tightened as the little girl spoke again, clutching her sign with both hands. "Please, sir, Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." Her name was Mira. And in her tired eyes was something no child should carry: exhaustion. The biker's name was Ryder, though his brothers called him Wolf. The nickname never truly fit. Beneath the tattoos and leather was a man who lost too much, a father who walked away, a son who never came home, and a heart hardened by loss. But that day, kneeling on the pavement before a starving child, something inside him stirred again. When Ryder asked gently what she meant, Mira began to explain through small, shaking breaths. Her mother, Clara, once worked at a local catering company owned by a man everyone in town admired, Mr. Hensley, CEO who smiled on magazine covers and donated to charities for the cameras. But when the company downsized, Clara was among those fired. She'd begged to keep her job a few more weeks to feed her daughter, but Hensley didn't care. "You're replaceable," he'd said. Since then, Clara had grown too weak to find new work. The bills piled up, the fridge emptied, and Mira, desperate to help her mother, decided to sell the only thing she had left, her pink bicycle. Ryder's throat went dry. Behind him, the other bikers shifted uncomfortably. They were used to hard roads, bar fights, and engines that roared louder than conscience. But this small voice, asking to trade her childhood for food, hit different. "Where's your dad, sweetheart?" Ryder asked softly. Mira looked down. "He left when I was 2. Mommy said he went to find work, but he never came back." Ryder swallowed hard as the men exchanged glances, unsure what to do. The Hells Angels weren't known for charity. Their jackets told stories of rebellion, not mercy. But in that moment, labels didn't matter. What stood in front of them was Intia Gangit, was a group of men remembering what humanity felt like. Ryder reached into his pocket and pulled out a few crumpled bills. "Keep the bike, kiddo. Go buy something for your mom." But Mira shook her head, her eyes brimming with tears. "No, sir. I want to sell it," Mommy said. "Never take charity." That single sentence silenced every man standing there. Ryder slowly stood and looked toward Clara, who was now struggling to stand up beneath the tree. Her face was pale, but her pride was still there, shining through the weakness. She smiled faintly and whispered, "I'm sorry if she bothered you, sir. She just wanted to help." Ryder took a step forward. "Ma'am, she didn't bother us. You to live nearby?" Clara nodded. "The old motel down the road, room 6. They let us stay for a few days, but tomorrow we'll have to leave." One of the bikers, Tanka, big man with arms like steel cables, looked away, blinking fast. "Ryder," he muttered, "we can't just leave him like this." Ryder nodded slowly. "We won't." He turned back to Clara. "Ma'am, can you wait here for a few minutes? We'll be right back." Clara hesitated. "You don't have to," but Ryder raised a hand. "Please, just trust me." The men got back on their bikes, engines roaring again. But this time, they weren't riding away from something. They were riding for something. A few blocks later, they stopped at a local grocery store, loading their saddlebags with canned food, milk, bread, and fruit. Tank even grabbed a pack of teddy bear cookies for Mira. When they came back, Clara couldn't speak. The little girl stared, wide-eyed, as the men stacked bag after bag beside her. Ryder bent down and smiled. "Now, we'll buy that bike from you." "How much were you asking?" Mira whispered. $20? Ryder pulled out 100 and placed it gently in her hand. Deal. The other bikers chuckled softly, trying to hide the lump in their throats. Clara covered her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. Ryder simply nodded once, then wheeled the small pink bike to his Harley and strapped it to the back like a trophy. Only this time it wasn't a symbol of power, it was a reminder of hope. That night Clara and Mira ate for the first time in 2 days. And as they fell asleep, Mira whispered to her mother, "Mommy, the angels came today." The next morning, Clara woke to a soft rumble outside the motel window. When she looked out, she froze. The same group of bikers was back, but this time they weren't alone. 2 pickup trucks were parked behind them, loaded with boxes, blankets, and even a used refrigerator. Mira ran to the window, her eyes lighting up. "Mommy, the angels came back." So Mara got on the force. Mara Lotta, coming to lice. He started coming to lie. Coming to lie. Lotta, Randolph, Tomming, a wall, Amil, Marana, Ronning Boza, Ronning Arada, Riata, Rana, Rada, 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 Ra, Ra, I buy a wa, my gum, I'm bum, Sasama, I'm ga, I'm sub, I'm on so swat, da, 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 wada, da, 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 sa, wada, la, da, 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 Sweetheart, those aren't angels. They're just kind men. But when she stepped outside, her words died in her throat. Ryder stood there with his jacket slung over his shoulder, the morning light catching the patches on his leather vest. He looked both fierce and gentle, like a man who'd seen too much of the world and still refused to stop caring. "Morning, ma'am," he said. "We figured you might need a few things. My guys called in some favors." Clara blinked back tears. "I don't understand. Why are you doing this?" Ryder looked down at Mira, who was hugging her tiny pink bike as if it were treasure. "God. Because yesterday reminded us what it means to have a heart. Sometimes the road makes you forget that." The bikers began unloading supplies. Tank carried in the fridge with another man, while others brought blankets, clothes, and toys. Someone even fixed the broken motel room lock. Mira squealed when she found a stuffed bear tucked in one of the boxes, and the men couldn't help but laugh. Clara covered her mouth, overwhelmed. "You don't even know us." Ryder shrugged. "You don't need to. You needed help, and we had hands free, for the first time in months." Clara smiled an honest, radiant smile that made her look 10 years younger. "Thank you," she whispered. "You've given us more than food. You've given us hope." Ryder's face softened. "Hope's free, ma'am. You just gotta share it." As the men prepared to leave, Mira tugged on Ryder's sleeve. "Will we see you again, Mr. Ryder?" He crouched down to meet her gaze. "You bet, kiddo. You're part of our road family now." She grinned, showing her missing tooth. "Then next time, I'll have cookies for you." He chuckled. "I'll hold you to that," before mounting his Harley. Ryder turned back to Clara. "There's a diner down the highway that needs a cook. I talked to the owner. It's expecting you tomorrow." Clara's hand flew to her chest. "You did that?" Ryder gave a small nod. "He owes me a favor or two." Tears welled up again as she whispered, "I don't know how to thank you." Ryder smiled faintly. "Just pay it forward when you can." The engines thundered to life again, but this time the sound wasn't intimidating. It was uplifting. Clara held Mira close, watching the bikers ride into the sunrise. The same road that once felt cruel now felt like a promise. And as the wind swept through the empty parking lot, Clara whispered, "Angels indeed." That night, long after the bikers were gone, Clara sat by the motel window with a small notebook open on her lap. Mira slept beside her, clutching the stuffed bear Ryder had brought. Outside, the neon sign buzzed faintly in the dark, but for the first time, the noise didn't bother her. It reminded her she was still here, still fighting. She looked down at the folded cardboard sign that once read "For Sale." Her tears dotted the edges, but now those tears came from relief, not despair. She traced the letters with her finger, whispering, "We made it, baby. We really made it." Across town, Ryder sat by a campfire with his brothers. The night was quiet, except for the crackle of flames and the soft hum of crickets. Mason handed him a beer, but Ryder didn't take it. He just stared into the fire, lost in thought. Tank finally broke the silence. "You okay, boss?" Ryder exhaled slowly. "Yeah, just thinking about that kid. She's a tough one," Viper said. "It didn't even flinch when we showed up." Ryder smiled faintly. "She reminded me of my daughter." The fire popped and the others fell silent. They'd never asked much about his past. They all had ghosts. But tonight, something in Ryder's tone told them it wasn't just nostalgia, it was healing. "You think that CEO guy's gonna stay changed?" Mason asked. Ryder shook his head. "Doesn't matter. What matters is that little girl believes in kindness again. It's a start." Tank leaned back, looking at the stars. "Guess we did good for once, huh?" Ryder smirked. "We've always done good, Tank. Just not the kind that gets headlines." The men laughed quietly. Then Mason lifted his bottle. "Tamira, the bravest kid we've ever met." "Tamira," they echoed, their voices blending with the wind. Back in town, Clara woke up just before dawn. She stepped outside and watched the first light stretch across the horizon. She didn't have much, not yet, but she had something more valuable than money: a second chance. She turned as Mira ran out, barefoot, giggling. "Mommy, it's morning!" "Maybe they'll come back today." Clara smiled and knelt down. "Maybe not today, sweetheart, but someday." Mira tilted her head. "Then we'll be ready for them." As the sun rose, Clara held her daughter close. "Yes, baby, we will." In the distance, a faint roar echoed from the highway, the familiar sound of Harley engines. Mira's eyes lit up. "Hear that?" Clara nodded, her smile trembling through tears. "I do." The sound faded, leaving behind silence and sunlight. But it wasn't empty. It was peaceful. It was the sound of hope rebuilding itself, one small miracle at a time. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to USA Kotha, because sometimes it only takes one act of courage to remind the world that kindness still exists, even in the most unexpected places.